guys, today I'm going to be making what I call bottom of the fridge stew. We've all been there when we get home and we haven't gone grocery shopping and we look down and we just have the most random assortment of ingredients. So I'm going to show you what I have in my fridge and then I'm going to show you how I make it into something delicious. Okay, so I have an apple, a moldy avocado, some eggplant, a giant bag of cucumbers that I got on sale, half a celery, some weird spinach, and I'm also going to be using some staples from my pantry. I always have a giant bag of red lentils, some vegetable stock, some garlic, and onion. And then over here we have some spices. I have some coriander, some cumin, garlic and onion powder, and paprika. And just as a little side note, these giant bags of paprika are actually about half the price than a little jar. They're found in the ethnic section of the supermarket. I think this guy was $2 or something. So if you can buy these and then refill your little jars, definitely worth the price. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to chop up our onion. We're gonna get that sauteing, then we're gonna get our aromatic sauteing. So we're gonna get our ginger and our garlic in there. And then we're going to fry up some spices in the oil to really get those flavors to release. Rinse our lentils, put them in with some veggie stock, and then just cover it and let it simmer. Medium-low heat here, just a little bit of onion. I'm doing this in a nice pot that holds about 2 liters, I think, and just a tiny little drizzle of oil. I'm using canola oil because I like to use that to fry. It has a higher smoke point than olive oil. Coconut oil can also be nice in here, but it's quite expensive, so we're just gonna stick with canola for now. I'm gonna let this sizzle for just a couple minutes before I put some salt and pepper in, and then it will really start to sweat. Here, I forgot to mention, we're also going to put our celery in to fry up with the onion so that we can really get some of those nice flavors to get to know each other, and then the celery will be nice and soft by the end. Just really adds a lot of depth to the stew, and it's just really delicious and so good for you. A good way to sneak some extra veggies in there. Chop these nice and small. Well, celery is in here with our onion now. Sometimes here I would put in some carrots. I don't happen to have those, and this recipe is honestly all about using what's going bad in your fridge. The end of the week. It's super simple, super nutritious, and really it's super flexible, which is the best part. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to use a whole clove of garlic here. Honestly, what I like to do is just break it open. Break it apart, and despite what people might tell you, you can never use too much garlic. I'm gonna probably use half of this entire bulb because a lot of our flavor here comes from our fresh garlic, fresh onion, and fresh ginger. So once you have a couple of bulbs here, this is what's left over. So see, we've used most of the bulb. I'm just going to lay my garlic flat on my chopping board with my knife. I'll chop off this nice little woody bit here. I'm just gonna put my knife on top, and I'm gonna smack it. And this really, as you can see, the skin came off onto my knife here. So go ahead and do that for the rest of your garlic. Okay, so once you have all your garlic cloves like this, so this ended up being 6 cloves. I'm just gonna move those to the side. How I like to do garlic is I like to slice it down lengthwise. Basically just a little dice. Turn it on its side, lengthwise again. And then just horizontal. And you get these nice little chunks here. And so I do that for all of my garlic, and then I will run over it once more and I'll do a fine dice. Once you hear this sizzle, it's time to add some salt and pepper. Okay, so here we have all of our little chunks from our 5 cloves of garlic. We're just going to put our hand flat on the top of the knife, and with the other side, just gently going across. Okay, so now we're going to get going on the ginger. Most people think that peeling ginger is a really big pain, but I'm going to show you a way that is quick. Okay, so get yourself a chunk of ginger. We're probably going to use maybe a couple of inches here. I like my soup to be really gingery. It's so good for you. Really packs a flavor punch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a teaspoon. Okay? And so once we have this teaspoon, we move our knife aside. I'm going to put one thumb on the other end and then use the teaspoon to gently peel the ginger. Can you see that? It just comes right off. Okay, so that was super quick, and look what we have here, a nice peeled piece of ginger. Don't be too meticulous, you know, a little bit of skin isn't going to kill you. But after this, once we have our ginger, to make it a little less fibrous as we're cooking with it, I'm going to grate it on the small hole of the grater. Okay, so once you're all done grating, you're going to be left with this kind of like big fibrous chunk here. And this is the kind of stuff that we're trying to get out of our ginger before we do it. If you have a look underneath here, you can see we've got all these nice juices and soft pieces of ginger, and that's what's going to give a really nice mouthfeel and really pack a flavor punch. Your garlic and ginger, your onions and celery over here have been nicely cooking. They're still going, starting to get a little jammy now, which is really nice. While we wait for this to be totally ready, what we're going to do is we're going to rinse out. So here I have about 2.5 cups of lentils. It is super important to wash your lentils. Number one, to make sure that they're clean and they've got all the stuff out of them, but also because it will help you to stop them from sticking to the bottom of your pan. Okay, now I've got some really good color on my onions and celery. I think it's time to throw in our garlic and ginger. So what I'm going to do is I'm really going to bring down this temperature because we don't want to burn the garlic. I'm going to give this a couple minutes to cool down, and then we're going to throw the garlic and the ginger in here to saute for a couple minutes. There you go. If you had some fresh cilantro, here would be a great time to chop up and add in the stems. Don't throw those out, they have lots of flavor. Fortunately, I don't have any right now, but that's okay. While our ginger and garlic are cooking, I'm going to set up my spices. We have about 1 teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. You can leave this out if you would like. We are using fresh garlic, but I think it really adds a lot of extra depth. We're also going to add in 1 teaspoon of onion powder. And finally, 1 tablespoon of paprika. Now before you add in your spices, you're going to want to prepare your broth because the spices burn really quickly. We're only going to have or prepared stock if you like. I personally like to use better than bouillon. I feel like it's really good value for money and it tastes great. A really interesting way to add a lot of flavor to your legumes. And so I've turned my stove back up. I have everything nice and sizzly, and now I'm going to add in my spices. And stir those up. You really want them to get all the onions to get nice and coated because you want to bloom these spices. You want to fry them in the oil. You should start to smell it right away. Okay, once you've fried off your spices, it's time to add your lentils. Now these are just my washed lentils. There's about 2.5 cups. And then to this, I'm going to add my stuff. And now you wait for it to come up to a boil. Okay, so once this is at a boil, you want to keep a nice close eye on it, probably every 5 minutes or so, because you're going to need to put more water in. Just as it absorbs by the lentils, just put a little bit more in, almost like a risotto. This This is going to take about 30 minutes. Water addition. Okay, so it's been about 10-15 minutes and really a lot of this liquid has started to evaporate and go into. The best thing about cooking is that there's a solution to every problem. So as we see here, it's getting really dry and it's starting to struggle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in a can of coconut milk, which I didn't expect to do at the beginning of this recipe, but you can do whatever you like with this. Like, you are the creator. It is so versatile. Lentils are one of my favorite things to have in the cupboard because they really just pick up the flavor of whatever you're putting in. It looks delicious. I'm gonna let this simmer for a little while and kind of absorb all the flavors, and then we're going to taste and adjust the seasoning. About 5 minutes. This is looking pretty delicious. We're going to add in our spinach and some green peas. Here we go. This is a really good way to use up spinach that's going bad in your fridge. And I always have frozen green peas in my freezer because they're super cheap, really versatile. Good way to get in some vitamins. Giving it a taste, I think it needs a tiny little squirt of lemon juice. And a tiny bit of salt.